The Michigan Wolverines, Joe, 2 years ago won a national title, and first-year owner Sherrone Moore go 8-5. But arguably the biggest shift at the end of the season by any team in the country was the Wolverines beating the national title winners in Ohio State, coming close to beating a playoff team in Indiana, and then finishing off bowl season by waxing Alabama. Joe, when you look into the 2025 season of the Michigan Wolverines, how do you see them, bro?
Michigan is one of these teams in 2025 that is quite a bit of a question mark because they have exactly what you look for a team to take the big step forward. First year, new head coach, has a really strong finish, unexpected bowl victory against an SEC team, pulls out the big upset against Ohio State, their biggest rival. They're doing everything right at the end of the year. But when we dig into and we look on paper, we got to read into the fact that they're losing some of the best players in the country. They're losing Mason Graham, who was a top 5 pick. They're losing Will Johnson, who was banged up a lot last year, so it's a little bit of a different conversation, but was still a very highly drafted guy by the Arizona Cardinals. Kenneth Krantz gone. Colston Loveland is gone. Josiah Stewart, Kalel Mullings, Miles Hinton, only to name a few. So there is a lot of defensive talent gone, but they have a complete mastermind in Wink Martindale, who is going to be organizing a group that still returns some very gifted guys that we're going to get into. I say they're a question mark, Blake, because they still have potential. They have potential because of guys like Jashawn Barham. They've got potential like guys like Derek Moore in their D-line and Rod Moore and Jair Hill. There is athleticism.
Austin comes back too, by the way.
Yes, there is a lot of athleticism on that defense, but a lot of it comes down to the true freshman who we expect to play quarterback in Bryce Underwood.
I want to stay on the defensive side of things very quickly for me. Joe, you talked about Barham. You talked about that linebacking room returning. Joe, that front seven, and I know that Mason Graham is gone, but they rotated a lot in and out of that defensive tackle room.
Yep.
Joe, all right. Look, listen, stay with me on what I'm about to say. There are two teams, one in the Big Ten and one in the SEC, that I think that if we look up at the end of the year and we say to ourselves, hey, now, hold on. I know that they might be 6-2, 7-2. They win this game, brother. They could be a playoff team. In the SEC, that might be Florida. Joe, in the Big Ten, it is Michigan. I saw a lot of people today talking about Illinois. Illinois is the Indiana of last year, right? I know that. I'm pretty sure that you saw this too. I don't know if I'm going to put Michigan as the Indiana, like coming out of nowhere. Brother, let's talk about how they absolutely exposed two really damn good teams a year ago. At the end of the year, they waxed Ohio State. Going into the stadium, this is what I saw from a team more than anything X's and O's wise, more than anything talent level wise in the University of Michigan, belief. And belief in their head coach. I get chills. I got chills right now going down my spine. The way they entered that stadium, it gets me fired up. That gets predicated off of Wink Martindale and how that defense locked things down in the second half. Will Johnson was a draft pick. Joey didn't play. Now, you did have a top 10. I mean, he didn't play. He quit.
Right. Well, okay, he didn't quit, but he did. No, stop. He had dude, he fell in the draft because he had a serious issue with his knee. He could play.
Teams thought he was a quitter.
No.
Anyway,
go ahead, continue. But that's not what happened.
Even if it's not, they still didn't have him. We're kind of playing around there, tongue in cheek. Yeah. But regardless, I saw a damn good defensive front seven. A lot of them returning, and they're adding pieces. Uh-oh. I'm a little bit higher on Michigan than maybe some might believe. Look, it does come down to what they're going to do offensively. I get it. If they got a pulse bigger than what they had, Joe, they had a walk-on at quarterback. And they walked into Ohio State and started swinging punches. Bryce Underwood's better than that walk-on today. I don't care what anybody tells me. I don't care. That kid's better. They did add some pieces offensively, but they're going to be better offensively simply because of him.
That's where my head's at. And that's why I am believing in the fact that they're going to be a better team this year. I don't think that they're going to really hit the stride of them actually hitting.
I agree with you.
10 wins, playoff team. I don't think that they're there just yet. I think that this is going to be a better version of what we had with Nebraska and Florida last year, where freshman quarterback starts. We ooh and ah over the highlight, freak out, and we go, oh my God, look at the big play, look at the big play. And then there's going to be oh yeah, that didn't look so great. Oh, the offense only threw for 150 yards this week, and Bryce Underwood had a couple of picks. But the games where he throws for 300 and he rushes for like a big 60-yard touchdown because he's so much more athletic than everybody else on the field, that is where we're going to start to feel for the real pulse. I think Michigan fans are understanding that this is kind of
a rebuild.
It's a rebuild, but it's also a building year. This is the year that you show improvement and then you jump the next season.
Yep.
I think for how ass that they were, how bad they were on offense, they hit their stride in their identity, which was running the football. I think that this upcoming year with Bryce Underwood, you can throw the ball a little bit more effectively, and you're going to be able to run the ball potentially even better with him at quarterback, and also with the additions of Justice Haynes, who is potentially super productive running back in this offense. I think in the future, we got to look ahead to guys like Andrew Babaloa, who they brought in, who's a very highly regarded recruit. I wonder if he maybe even contributes at some point this year because he is such a valuable piece for that team's future. But they showed us what they can be when they didn't have a damn quarterback. Like it felt like you were watching football from like 1975 with the crap that they were trotting out there with trying to move the ball.
Yeah, I think that it's such a good comparison that it's the Walmart version of what Florida did a year ago, potentially. Now, and it's funny.
I think it's the better version. I wouldn't call it Michigan the Walmart version. I think Florida was the Walmart version. I think that this team's a little better.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That if this team is a little bit better, then it'd be more of the Walmart version instead of Dr. Pibb. Right? Okay. Like, I mean, regardless, let me get to them offensively. They were so bad. Joe, I got to be real with you. It was damn near, for me at times and moments, unwatchable. Like, because there is no creativity, but there can't be any creativity because when you started to do some things that are creative, well, you got a walk-on kid at quarterback, and that's no disrespect for him. You brought up an interesting point about Bryce Underwood. I agree with you. There are going to be so many learning curves. And look, you're paying this kid a lot of money. You're going to have to get over that this kid that you stole at let's just call it at 11:59 right before midnight, you literally go in there and you're going to have to allow him to have these mistakes. You are building into something. But like Joe just said, and like I think it's brilliant by you, when Raiola had those situations, he's going to grow from that. More really and truthfully, it was more that I would compare it to DJ Lagway because Raiola did kind of fall a little down the stretch along with Nebraska. Yeah. But Lagway against Ole Miss, against LSU, against all these other teams, they legitimately showed he showed the throws that he'd make. So the problem is that I don't know if they're going to be better around him regardless if he doesn't have those issues. Right? Like, I know that you go out and get Anthony Simpson at wide receiver. Joe, he played in 2 games last year. His most productive year was in 2023. You go out and get Indiana's wide receiver and McCulley. The last time that he played was in 2023. He redshirted last year at Indiana. So, like, I know their philosophy and what they want to do, but I don't know if you're giving him the overall weapons to succeed either, other than what will probably be a really good run game. I don't know if he's going to have the big separation and bigger windows that he's going to be able to throw the football because I don't know what he has around him. Colston Loveland's not there anymore, but they produce tight ends.
But he was banged up and unavailable for most of last year too.
Right. My point exactly where I was going with that. I don't know if they have what those – DJ Lagway still had NFL receivers that he was throwing to. Now, one of them signed a free agent deal. I mean, regardless, he still had some dudes.
Well, DK got drafted by the Titans, and, we're talking about oh, my God, who's the name?
Well, Eugene Wilson. Okay,
Trey Wilson's the guy who keeps getting hyped up. They brought – well, actually, Sturdivant just got there. Never mind, ignore what I was just about to say. But he had – you're right. He has a lot of gifted players. I think that does kind of create like the question mark. I don't think you need, as they showed us, as dynamic of weapons to succeed and move the ball in the Big Ten. I don't think that this team needs to be super explosive on offense. They just need to be a little bit better. They were that awful. They were like Iowa. They were like Iowa last year. So like you're telling me that they're going to be a little bit more productive.
They were a lot like Iowa. They were. I can make the point that I think that in moments and times they were worse.
Iowa showed me more than what they had in some spurts. I mean, there were some truly awful games that they played. Some truly awful games that they played.
Well, and majority of them came offensively. I mean, most of them just came offensively. I mean, what are we talking about? We're talking about you holding Indiana the way that you did for that long, and then you finally broke. So what? Like, what are you mad at the defense for breaking at the end of that game for? Joe, they were on the field forever. You couldn't score. Like, you beat Indiana last year in your worst year, which probably will be your worst year going in with Sherrone Moore.
They didn't beat Indiana.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, you didn't beat Indiana because of the offense.
Sorry.
You don't beat them but you would beat them this year. Like, you would beat them this year if the things were still the same with this year's offense. That's my point. Like, I don't even have to see it. Joe, their quarterback play was the worst that I've ever seen a blue blood like that have. Like, I mean, we've seen some bad quarterback play. Joe, it was horrible. It was dead awful bad. They couldn't throw the ball 15 yards plus. What are we talking about? Like, what are we discussing? It's not even a look, we're opinion guys. Mm-hmm. There are some times when we talk that some things are just not opinion. This is the massive one where when we're talking about this, it's not an opinion. Like, it was that bad. So
right, there's no one was advocating. That's the whole point. No one was advocating to say no, but that's why you're right. It is such a proven point that their offense, their quarterback play, it was like Bowling Green level bad. It looked like we were watching Toledo's quarterback room.
What was the worst team in
Akron? Akron was. Oh wait,
are we supposed to talk about Akron's academic issues?
No. Okay. I don't know how you can do that in 2025.
I don't.
Like, of all priorities, you think you'd be trying to make sure kids graduate and are learning. Yeah. Not only do you not have money to be paid, you're also getting a bad education. What a selling point by Akron. I think that right now, though, there is a ceiling for them. I think it's not like a super exciting one. I think 9-3 is the ceiling. I think that they have a high floor, though. Like, I think that them going 8-4 in the regular season is truly attainable. I give this a really narrow window because I just don't see a team with this coaching staff and some of the level of athletes, not only that, but the schedule that they're facing this upcoming year. 9-3, 8-4 is truly accomplishable.
I got to ask you a very serious question because I had a very tough time with this today. Are you 1,000% sold that they, outside of Ohio State, that you couldn't make an argument that they could beat everybody on their schedule? Because I look at this schedule now and I see, Joe, I don't care what you tell me. Oklahoma runs that same offensive line out there that they did a year ago. Michigan has a chance to go into Soonerville and smack that rear end.
Right. So, okay, can I read their schedule so we can have this context?
Yes.
Host New Mexico. They go to Oklahoma. They host Central Michigan, which is one of the Sherrone Moore out games. They go to Nebraska, bye week.
Also Sherrone Moore.
Yeah. Versus Wisconsin, at USC, versus Washington, at Michigan State, versus Purdue, bye week, at Northwestern, at Maryland, versus Ohio State. I only really truly see one game that I feel like is likely a loss. I'm sorry to say this. I think that they're losing to Ohio State this year. I would find it very hard to believe that they're going to continue this streak. I think that would be like, it would be one of the strangest things in the history of the sport if Ryan Day couldn't get back after last year. Like, after getting the monkey off his back of winning a national title, all that stuff, that like he wouldn't calm himself down. I know it's on the road. That's the one game. I say this to say that the rest of the schedule, Blake, to me, it's a lot of question mark games. Oklahoma's a question mark. Nebraska's a question mark. USC is a question mark. Washington's a question mark. They're all winnable. Those are coin flips.
So that's kind of my point.
Yeah.
Right. Like so you read it off, and here's what I said until the very last game at Ohio State. New Mexico, yeah, sure. All right, Oklahoma. All right. You're going to get a test early. I mean, if that same defense shows up like it did against Alabama, you are getting smoked. Yes. I'm sorry. With that offensive line, you're getting smoked. Central Michigan at Nebraska. Joe, I mean, we're 4 weeks in here. Maybe Nebraska, because I was like, Sherrone Moore's not there. But you already had a really tough road test in the beginning. He gets to coach here in practice all week. Like, okay, well, it's not like Michigan hadn't gone through that before.
Wait, the suspension. He's not allowed to be at practice.
Okay,
that was in the article. He's not allowed to be at practice.
Okay, I thought they did the whole Harbaugh thing. Regardless, doesn't matter to me really. Wisconsin, USC, Washington, Michigan State, Purdue. Joe, Michigan State, Purdue, Northwestern. What? Those are wins, brother. Those are wins. Boom, boom, boom. Those are all wins. At Maryland, brother, they had more people leave the transfer portal than you see hookers leaving a Hooters. 1,000%. They're winning those 4 games. Joe, I gotta say it, man. I gotta say it. I don't know if you don't need to keep your eyes on them about a potential playoff contender if they start the season off early hot.
I'm not going to go that far. One other thing that stands out to me is that
who do they lose to? Who do you feel like they lose to?
Okay, we said this last year that there's a really good chance that they end up losing games like
we never
game on the road. They lose
last year. We never said that.
Well, there was some uncertainty. I think that there's, as much as there are coin flip games that could go in their favor if they play a really good defensive game, you're still starting a freshman quarterback. And things could blow up in your face. So I think that going to USC is an opportunity for that to happen.
It's true.
Going on the road at Michigan State, a rival, there's a chance for that to happen. Hosting Washington, who is going to be a lot better of a team this year, is one that you could lose. The game against Nebraska, going to Nebraska without Sherrone Moore and all of those distractions, is going to be a game that you could lose. I think that 9-3 is more realistic. I don't see this as a playoff team. I just don't. I think that would be...
They're going to go in. Well, if they're 9-3, with all due respect, so I just said that they could be a playoff contender. I didn't say they're in. If they're 9-3,
they're in the conversation, but they're
this is what it would mean. Based off of what you said, they're going into Ohio State for a playoff berth. I mean, there's no other way to slice or dice that now.
I would think realistically.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, so again, they're going into the horseshoe as literally somebody that can go, okay, Joe, listen, I don't get adamant much. All right. I'm telling you,
I'm not gonna go all the way there. I see the tape. I can see they're gonna be one of the first teams out.
If they're 8-2 going to the horseshoe, they're 1,000%, or not 8-2. What would it be?
Wait. It'll just be like how Texas A&M was in the conversation for the last couple of weeks, and then they petered off. It'll be just like that.
I mean, A&M. Well, first off, pause. A&M had 4 ranked opponents in November. This isn't the same.
No, but it's the same thing that at the end of the year, we're thinking that maybe they finished strong, they're still in the mix, and they lost to Texas and they were out.
Oh, look, I'll concede that. Okay, fair. It could happen that way. But you're going to tell me that we're going through August, September, October, and most of November, let's just say so 4.5 months of the football season, they're in that hunt with everybody else. Okay, man.
It's possible, but I'm not going to go all the way. 9-3, 8-4 is my projection.
The reason I will agree with you that I think they go 9-3, 8-4, I actually would say they go 8-4. But I really want to lean to them going 9-3. The only reason I say that, I agree with you. The Bryce Underwood thing's a lot to overcome. And look, man, you got to go on the road to Oklahoma. That's tough. That's very tough. Yeah. So I'm with you. Joe, I think that some of these lower tier teams in the Big Ten are really bad that they play down the stretch. I mean, hold on. In 6 weeks, Washington at Michigan State, Purdue, Northwestern, Maryland. Joe, that is maybe they can lose to Maryland, but I don't think people remember how much of an exodus. Who's Maryland's starting quarterback after your boy left?
If Billy Edwards is gone,
right?
The roster's a mess. It's a complete mess.
Roster's a complete mess. Like, where are you putting it? Purdue went 1-11 last year. 1-11.
They have an incredibly favorable schedule, so that's why I lean in agreeing with you, and that's why 9-3 is super plausible. Like, why I completely reject them doing worse than that, and why I think that the floor is so close to the ceiling is because they've got a really favorable schedule. They have a very winnable schedule. They aren't going to get in their own way.
Okay, I can't believe you made me come out here on Believe in Big Ten. Only on XM radio that will be on there tomorrow. I can't believe you made me come out here and say SEC Blake said that Michigan could be a contender.
Yeah, look what I caused. Look
what you started. See, I want everybody to remember this. When everybody says I'm an SEC homer, I want everybody to remember this.
Has so many great supplements for whatever you're looking for. Blake and I, we are health nuts. We are always looking for an extra edge. They have got supplements that help reduce soreness, increase recovery, help improve sleep, as well as support immunity. Most importantly, though, it is trusted by so many people that need reliable quality supplements, specifically over 500 collegiate and pro sports teams, 10 of the last Super Bowl champions. Every single team that has played in Europe or Brazil this season has had Cherubini with them. 66 out of 67 Power 4 conference football teams, and every NCAA football and basketball champion since 2007. As you said, Blake, you can find their products on Amazon, cherubunny.com, or any retailers nationwide, including Publix and Kroger. Go to cherubunny.com, spelled